Hey boos, hey! Happy masculine Mondays or whatever. So, I am Regal Essence. I am Queen TV. I'm Queen TV After Dark. I'm your hood therapist. I'm Life is a Love Goddess. I'm your laid-back mom. And I'm your ray of sunshine in the afternoon time. And I'm also your crystal healer and dealer. Hey boos, hey! So, y'all know it's Sunday, but I'm filming this video now because you know I like to have my stuff ready or whatever so I don't be stressed out. So today, I am so excited to talk to you guys about 4 ways to be able to distinguish a divine feminine. How to tell if a female is a true divine feminine in a world full of fakes. Fakes, okay? So what I've realized is that there are, and God is still, breaking it down for me, but I believe that there are divine feminines. I believe that there are high vibrational divine feminines, and I feel like there are low vibrational divine feminines, and then I feel like that there are just toxic feminines. Okay, so today we're going to talk about 4 ways to be able to determine, if you run across a true divine feminine. And I realized that out here in these spiritual streets, like, people know what things to say, like people know like the little jargon to throw out there or whatever. But the more you begin to talk to a person and have a real conversation with that person, you will be able to determine if they're truly spiritual, right? And when we talk about spirituality, there's 2 forms of spirituality. You are either dabbling in spirituality and you are on the light side, meaning that what you do is for the Most High, you work for the Most High, right? Or you have an allegiance to the dark side. It's the dark and the light. And some people, unfortunately, we actually literally, like, at some point, we make a choice. Like, am I on the light side or am I on the dark side? And this is the thing. People that choose to be on the dark side, they know, like, they made a conscious effort. They signed a contract. However it is that they did it, but it's not like a thing of like, oh, I didn't even know. No, you knew, okay? And the thing is, like, essentially, like, some people feel as though it's more beneficial to do things in a more low vibrational way, and then some other people attempt to get things done in a more high vibrational way. And that's basically where the divide comes. That's how you separate the wheat from the chaff. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into this, y'all. Okay, so there are 3 major areas where you are going to go through a transformation whenever you go through a spiritual awakening. Spiritually, you're going to transform. Emotionally, you are going to transform. And mentally, you are going to transform. Okay? So spiritually, you're going to start to tap into a higher consciousness. You're going to believe different things. And essentially, what you're going to believe is that I am a spiritual being having a human experience. And you really step into that and you realize that, hey, I'm here to be on assignment. I'm not just wasting time. Life is just not, I'm just not allowing life to just pass me by and taking it one day at a time. No, I've become very intentional about my life, what it is that I'm here to do, and how it is that God wants me to do it, right? Number 2, you become mentally, you start to think differently. Like, as you begin to believe that, hey, I'm a spiritual being having an earthly experience, your mental starts to change. You realize that what you think creates your reality around you, right? So you're always thinking about what you thinking, right? So that is a level of elevation. You start to get into things like subliminals because you know that your unconscious mind needs to be reprogrammed, right? You start to get into affirmations because you realize that affirmations are very important as far as speaking life, speaking positivity, and speaking positive things so that you can create and manifest positive things around you and for your future, right? Also, you're going to transform emotionally, meaning I am in control of my emotions. I know how to label my feelings. I'm not scared of my feelings. I know exactly what it is that I'm feeling at the time that I'm feeling it. And I am going to be conscious of those things. I'm not going to shame my emotions. I'm not going to shame the way it is that I feel, but I'm going to be very mindful of what I do whenever I am feeling certain things, right? I'm also going to govern myself according to the emotional guidance scale. Most times I want to be resonating at emotions that are on the higher end of the emotions guidance scale versus on the lower end of the emotional guidance scale, right? Because I'm raising my vibrations. All right. So those are the three areas that you are going to definitely transform in whenever you go through a spiritual awakening. Because of that, y'all notice that those three areas have certain defined things about them, right? So when you meet people who claim to be spiritual, you should be able to notice that spiritually they have evolved, right? And the thing is, like, people, I realize people know exactly what to say. They can throw out terms like ancestors and star seeds and all of that, but the more you start to talk to them, you can hear mentally where it is that they are, and their mental should be lining up with a higher level of spirituality, right? So and then also too, watch their emotions. Do they hate everybody, or are they loving and tend to be like pretty upbeat and always kind of like in a positive mindset? Okay, those are very key factors. And what I realize is karmics have a loop. They only have but so much material. They never grow. They never evolve. Sometimes, they get to the point where they know what to say so they can sound as if they're tapped in. But if you continue to talk to them and you continue to let time go on, you will realize they get in a loop. They never stop saying. They basically have a certain mindset, and the more you talk to them, the more you realize that they're not really changing. They may just change in the moment, but if you talk to them 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 years later, they still saying the same things that they were saying to you weeks ago, years ago. And that's how you can tell if somebody is actually evolving. Okay, so let's get to these 4 points, right? So number 1, a divine feminine, or someone who is cultivating herself into becoming a true divine feminine. She is independent, not codependent, right? So she's going to be a very independent woman, right? She's going to know how to get out there and get it. She's going to have a certain drive, a certain motivation, certain things that she's always going to be working towards, right? Versus being codependent, meaning I need you for this. I need you to pay my bills. Needy. She's not going to be needy, right? Now, when she is paired with her partner, right? When the queen and the king get together, she is going to shed certain levels of independence, right? And then they are going to work together as a partnership, right? And in a partnership, that's exactly what it is. It's a partnership. It's a togetherness, right? One person isn't bigger than the other. One person isn't above the other. One person isn't bragging about what they got, and this my house, and I got everything. I pay for everything in here. Nigga, you ain't never did da-da-da-da. She not talking like that. She's very independent. She's very solid in her independence. But when she gets with her counterpart, they are now co-creating together, right? A divine feminine knows that. She's not walking around like a peacock bragging about what it is that she has and what it is that she's doing to impress her partner or to make her partner feel less than, right? A divine feminine is always going to be about partnership, working together. She's going to build with her person. She's not going to tear her person down, and she's not there to prove and be in competition with her person, okay? Trauma bonds. Let's talk about trauma bonds. Okay. So sometimes we get into relationships. I realized that some of my relationships that I got into, the ones that I stayed in the very longest, there was a trauma bond there, right? Trauma bond meaning there was something at the beginning of the relationship that bonded us together, right? Something that we both had went through, a certain mindset. A lot of times that it's us against the world. It's us against the world. You know, we're both outcasts, or we both been through certain things, etc., etc. Those can turn into trauma bonds, right? Because you begin to see that person and yourself kind of like as a victim. So you're two victims out in this world trying to get it. So then at some point, if you begin to evolve and that person doesn't, you feel sorry for them because you still view them kind of as a victim, right? So we want to be very, very mindful and careful that we're not getting into relationships that we feel as if, oh, this bond is so great, like we tight, we rock out, but in actuality, it's a trauma bond, right? So a trauma bond, again, is a bond that you have created over some type of pain, trauma, or deficiency that you both have or that you both carry, and you guys kind of like, that cultivates that bond, right? And what that could look like in simple terms is when you kind of take on the it's us against the world type attitude, which a lot of times it will be, right? But if it's a whole, like, it's us against the world, but we are not actually working together, we're not growing, we're not evolving, then we're just trauma bonding, okay? And trauma bonds will keep you in situations and relationships far beyond its expiration date, okay? So we want to be very, very mindful of that, right? And then also too, it's that victim piece, right? So if I kind of subconsciously I view you as a victim because subconsciously I view myself as a victim, I may stay there trying to help you along versus us both growing and evolving, right? So number 2, she is healthy and healed from her past relationships, right? She's not bringing old baggage from old relationships into the equation. She's not bringing childhood trauma into the equation. She's not, now mind you, you guys may talk about what happened in a past relationship, what it is that you learned from it, but you should not still hear bitterness and anger and unresolved trauma and unresolved hurt, right? She should be healed from her childhood, her past, and her past relationships. Now, in relationships, there is a certain level of healing. I do believe that there's a certain level of healing that can only take place when two people come together in a relationship, right? But for the most part, she should have come to terms with what it is that she went through, why it is that she went through it, why it is that she's not mad, and why it is that she's not bitter. But she should have an understanding that, yeah, I had to go through that in order to get to here, so I'm not even mad. Like, I'm good with it. It sucked. It wasn't the best, right? But at this point, I'm good with it. I've made peace with it. You will know that because you will hear it. Like, you will see it. You'll hear it in her behavior. I mean, you'll see it in her behavior, and you'll hear it in how it is that she communicates. Which leads me to my third point. She has sweet communication. Her communication, or also to sweet speech. We gonna call it sweet speech, right? Sweet speech, meaning that she's going to stand up for herself. She is going to stand on what it is that she believes, right? But she's able to do that in a way that is respectable. She is not about tearing down a man. She's not about belittling you. She's not about emasculating you. She is able to communicate in a way that is healthy and sweet. It's like, no, it might not always be sweet, but she is able to communicate in a way that is not disrespectful, is not emasculating, because it's just certain things that it's just certain things that you should not say to somebody that you love, or your partner, or somebody that you're getting to know, or somebody that you see be it in your future. It's just certain things that we should not say, right? And that comes with emotional intelligence, right? So like I said, there's 3 major areas in your life that transform whenever you go through an awakening. Your spirituality, your mental state, and your emotional state. And out of those 3 things that we just named, right? Her being independent versus codependent, right? That falls into how it is that she sees herself, right? That falls into self-image, right? Which falls into spirituality, right? Because I said, once we go through a spiritual awakening, we realize that we're a spiritual being having a human experience. So you start to see yourself differently, right? So you don't feel the need to be codependent, traumatized, things of that nature, okay? Number two talks about the ability to be healed, right? Healed from your past relationships, healed from your childhood trauma. That goes into your emotional transformation, right? So you should, if she is a true divine feminine, then she's transforming. She's working through her emotions, things of that nature. She's working through her trauma, okay? Sweet speech, right? Sweet speech. That falls into your emotional evolution, because in order to have sweet speech, you have to be able to have control over your emotions. You have to be able to have control over what it is that you say in the heat of your emotions, regardless of how it is that you're feeling. Why are you talking? What you talking about? What you saying? What you saying whenever you get upset? Do you take a moment to be quiet? Do you just take a timeout period to figure out what it is that you want to say so that you can speak properly, so you can use I statements? You know what I'm saying? How you talking? What you talking about, huh? So then number 4, this is our last point. Number 4, she is chaste and she is choosy, meaning that she has tapped into understanding her chakra system. She understands that we are comprised of energy, and she understands about the energy exchange whenever you are sexually intimate, right? So with that being the case, she's very protective of her goddess energy. She's very protective of her yoni, because she don't want just any old toxic energy being released into her uterine space, right? And her yoni, all up in her sacral chakra, her root chakra. She's very, very mindful of energies that are being released, right? So she's chaste and she's choosy, meaning that she is very, very much protective of her sexual energy. Most divine feminines, if she's been single for a while, most divine feminines that you meet, true divine feminines that you meet, if she's been single for a while, 9 times out of 10, she probably has been celibate, right? Because she's just not looking to share that goddess energy with mere mortals. You know what I'm saying? So she is very chaste. She's not still sleeping around. She's not just trying to just get it in for the sake of getting it in, right? She's going to be very sensual, but she may not be super sexual until she gets with her person. And then she's going to be a freak, y'all. She's going to be a freak, right? She just is. You know what I'm saying? Because then you could, because you can co-create with the universe, with your partner, whenever you're sexually intimate, because there is a huge energy release whenever you're having. So, with that being the case, most spiritual couples know that they can utilize their intimacy to manifest really great things in their life. You know what I'm saying? So yes, so she's very, very, very choosy who it is that she lays down with, who it is that she's exchanging sexual energy with. She's not just sleeping around. She's just not, okay? So, and then too, just because she's celibate doesn't mean that she's healed, right? It doesn't mean that she's independent versus codependent, but you are going to be looking for certain things and how it is that she is emotionally processing things, where her mental is with things, and her perception and her view on herself, and her views on her assignment in the earth. Those things are so, so important. If you pay attention to those things, you will be able to distinguish between true divine feminines and you can tell the difference between the real and the fake. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you guys, that's what I got for y'all. 4 ways to determine a real divine feminine in a world full of fake ones. Okay. So do me a favor. Share this with your friends. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button so you know every time I post up. And just know that I love you guys. Peace.